speak English, Benny.
We're two Italian sisters living in Rome. I'm going to teach you all there is to know about how Italians eat, drink, and enjoy life with no filters.
And this is actually a question that we get asked.
Always.
Always.
Always. Like, no, you're not Italian.
Yeah.
No, you're not Italian. That's not true.
And so we thought, let's just share our story.
Let's unveil.
Let's get comfortable.
Let's unveil this mystery of why our English is so good.
Perché noi siamo italiane.
Noi siamo italiane. Lei si chiama Valeria, io mi chiamo Benedetta.
Okay. And the reason is this. Okay. Back in the
1975, the year that she was born.
So our dad worked at Alitalia, the Italian Airlines. And so when I was 2 months old and she was 3 years old, he was transferred to Bangkok. And Mom said, imagine it was 1970s. It was like she did sei scali.
Yeah, she had like 6 stops to go to Bangkok back then with a 3-year-old and a 2-month-old in 1975. And she was super young back then too, so it was quite an adventure. Obviously, everybody thought she was crazy, but she decided to give this opportunity to the family, and then
we lived there for 6 years. So I started going to kindergarten. You started going to elementary, and back then.
No, I went to kindergarten too.
Oh, then I didn't go, or I did go to.
Yeah, but you went towards the end.
But they didn't have Italian schools, and so our parents thought, instead of having the kids go to an Italian school, it's best to go to an English-speaking school. So wherever my father was moved to,
at least there was an international school. Actually, it was. I even remember the name of the kindergarten that we went to in Bangkok.
I remember the teacher, our teacher.
I don't remember the teacher, but it was Mrs. Vipa's kindergarten.
Mrs. Vipa.
That was the name. And so it was beautiful. We spent 6 beautiful years. Our childhood was amazing in Thailand, and it was great. It was really good.
Yeah, so we were there until early in 1980s.
Yes.
And then from there, our dad was moved to Brussels. For 2 short years. Mom was so happy that she was finally in a European country. But just 2 years, and then we went to a European school.
Yeah, we went to a European school, but everything was always in English. But the great thing about traveling this way, besides the incredible advantages of just seeing so many things and growing as a person, is the fact that I forgot that we had to learn the language of the country that we were in. So besides we used to speak Thai.
Well, I know how to count.
Yeah, me too.
One
and how to say as foodies, the rice is hot.
King Kao Pat. That's what we know. And then Neng Som Sam Si Ha Hop Chet Bet Kao Sip. That's as much as we know about Thai.
And then after 2 beautiful short years in Brussels, Dad got another phone call from Alitalia and said, "Hey, you're moving to Caracas in Venezuela." And so across the ocean we went again. And there we went to, there I did elementary. Elementary. I did 6th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade. Yeah.
Well, I was in elementary. I got there in 4th grade.
Yeah, you were little.
3rd grade. So we first started, I don't know why they put us, they first started into a British school. I went to a tiny British school for...
We did go to a British school.
We changed 3 schools. In 5 years, we went to 3 different schools.
We did the British school, then we went to Escuela Campo Alegre.
And the American school, and then we went to CIC, the international school.
I forgot about the British school. Yes, that's true.
So we spent 5 years, so we learned Spanish, because the great thing, I must say, the great thing about traveling, as you were saying, you pick up the language, you actually never study it.
No.
That's why at the end, we are perfectly fluent in English, Spanish, and Italian, because we learned it by ear.
That's it.
Because I've tried to learn sign language. And it's another language, and it's very challenging to actually learn and remember and putting things together. So we learned Spanish just very naturally, because after Venezuela, we went to Chile. So back then, we should say that Venezuela back then, it was a little dangerous, but it's nothing like it is now.
Like it is now, no.
So, it was beautiful.
Well, it was still very dangerous. I remember, school, they had armed guards. I mean, it wasn't a safe city where you would just...
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Lovely. I mean, we loved it. I loved
it.
Caracas. I mean, it was such a great...
Well, I was at that age in which I would not go out at night.
I was at the age where I went to party all the time.
Mom and Dad weren't very happy.
No, we
about
were
that.
not. No. But it was great. It was wonderful. And then after that, we moved to... I was hoping to move towards Europe, but no, we went to Santiago de Chile.
And that
even
was
further down.
the very last year of Pinochet's dictatorship.
Yeah,
we were there.
We arrived in 1989 in I remember because I have my diary of 89. It says and yeah.
We arrived in Chile, and there we went to just one school.
We just went to one school. Yes, I had
Rio de
to
Águilas.
restart because there it's another hemisphere.
That's true.
So we arrived. So I practically was about to finish 11th grade, but then when I moved to Santiago de Chile, I actually had to restart 11th grade because not being an A+ student, but
I'm not an A+ student.
Well, you had better grades than I did in school. So she got put 6 months ahead. I got put 6 months behind. So I had to restart 11th grade.
That's true.
But it was great.
Because classes were from February.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of at the end of the summer, something like that. Yeah. And so the fun thing is that we had always done, when in Italy it was summer, in the other countries where we lived was summer, and so we would come back and forth, and the seasons were the same. Plus we lived in between Venezuela and between Bangkok, very tropical countries. So we lived for like 12 years in
the heat
in summer, and then when we moved to Chile, when it was summer holiday, it was winter here. And
5 years.
Our mom would never go anywhere else. She had such an urge to come back to Italy, so our vacations were always come back to Italy. So we spent 6 years in winter.
It was winter, and then we went there. It was winter, and then I came back. It was winter. It's like basta.
Yeah.
It was winter all the time.
So we spent 12 years of our childhood in summer and 6 years of our childhood in winter.
Beautiful. Challenging, yes. Challenging. It was challenging to, it's not that our dad had like months. No, they came back and they said, next month you're moving too. So
it wasn't challenging for us.
Well, it was challenging because you suddenly had to change school, language, friends. But it was most.
But we did it since the very beginning. For us it was normal to change school, to make new friends, and it would hurt. You would cry, but then after 6 months,
that's not a challenge.
Yeah, for me, actually, coming back to Italy was the most difficult thing.
Me too.
For me, I would still be in touch with my friends. We didn't have cell phones or social media.
Facebook, WhatsApp, nothing.
Yeah, so that you had to write letters, and so you may cry for the first few months.
Well, isn't it a challenge? You cry for the first few months, but then it's wonderful. I mean, today, 2023, I have a WhatsApp group with all my classmates from when I graduated from Local Aromas Family. And we still behave like we were 18-year-old idiots every time. And that's great, and I love it. Yeah. And that's so special.
And for me, the most challenging was coming back to Italy, because we would live Italy as a vacation, And it is true that Italy is, very
beautiful, charming, wonderful, but
people are sort of narrow-minded.
Yeah.
And so growing up, because you have to think that we did live abroad, but I would say 80% of our time we would spend at school.
Yeah. Because
we would finish school like around 4, and then we would do afternoon activities in the school, and so we would come back 5, 6, super late. And so the way we grew up is that we grew up in a very international environment. So yes, we lived in Chile, yes, we lived in Venezuela, but the people we hung around with were just from all over the world.
All over the world, yeah.
And so I feel like I never actually grew up in a specific culture, because we did not grow up picking up completely the the Chilean culture.
No, it was great because it was just a mix of everything. I mean, we had all our friends were from all over the world, and so it's just the most natural thing in the world.
Yeah, so I think that for me was difficult because we never grew up in a specific culture. At home, we lived a very Italian life. You know, we had very Italian food, and then our mom, who just loves cooking, she would also specialize in the local dishes of the countries where we lived.
Oh yeah, and she does still. So sometimes we do get treats.
Yeah, she still does like Thai cuisine, and she does all these things. And so it was our language at home was Italian. Our parents
With our mom and dad. We in Herstal today we speak mostly English
in
all the
English.
time.
Yeah.
It comes more natural to us.
And it took it for me coming back to Italy. It was
the same for me. I actually did not like it at all when I first backed here. I mean, no filters. I really did not like it. I did not enjoy the people. I enjoyed the food, but I really had a hard time to adapting. Also because I came back here and they stayed in Chile, because I know you can't tell, but I'm the oldest one. I'm the oldest one, so I came back and I moved in with my grandparents, and so they were all away, and I really did not like it.
That's true. We didn't say that. She went. You left in 1990. You graduated in 1991.
90, December 91. I came back here.
And I'm in class 93.
93.
And so I lived in Chile those extra 2-3 years while she was having fun. You were like
I was like
coccolatissima.
I was the princess. Imagine I moved in I came to college in Rome. I moved in with my grandparents. My grandmother would bring me coffee in bed every morning, and and so I would leave my room a disaster. I came back and everything was tidy, and you know, I was the oldest one, their oldest granddaughter, home after all those years, even though our grandparents came to visit us in every single place that we went to. No, I was outrageously spoiled.
Spoiled, ecco, non mi veniva la parola.
Spoiled, sì.
And
so you all came back when, in 94?
93. I finished school in 1993.
December, so you moved all back here in 94. And then they all came back.
Then I started university here, and I went to a university where I got a master's in communications. And that was probably where I had this reality shock.
The slap in the face.
My biggest shock was that we are fluent in Italian because that's, you know, it's our mother tongue, but we actually never studied it. So imagine I went to an Italian university. I have a very Italian name. Valeria Bianchini is very Italian. And so here exams at university, most of them, I would say the majority of the exams are oral. But since Italian is such a complicated language with like the tenses and the verbs and everything, I didn't always say verbs in the perfect tense. And so it was sort of embarrassing. First of all, because I wasn't used to taking in North American schools
there are no.
It's all like written exams, and so I didn't have all that practice that like my kids now have going to an Italian school. That a lot of it is oral, and and then when I would mess up, and people were just like, you know, I have an Italian name. I felt like so ignorant because they would look at me and it was just like, and I would ask very stupid questions.
Like communication with one. Whoa. That was so funny. So she comes back, she goes, let's go sign up at this university. She was going to this very, very nice university in Rome, and she wanted to study communication science. Comunicazione. Now in Rome you have the tendency to put double consonants when it's not necessary. So aerobics is aerobica with 5 B's. And so she calls me, she goes, come with me. And so we went together. And so she had to write what masters she wanted, and it was Scienze della Comunicazione. And she looked at me, she goes,
because in English it has 2 M's.
Is it with 1 or 2 M's? And I said, I don't know. And so we can't ask. I mean, my name is Benedetta Bianchini, Valeria Bianchini. We speak Italian. We look like 2 idiots at this very fancy university. So I just pretended to be an American. I just turned around and I asked this guy, excuse me, comunicazione in italiano. So they looked at us bad. So yeah, these things happen, and yeah, but they're fun.
They're fun, yeah, they're fun. It was just a culture shock of that because you study in a different language, and so I would take notes because I would write in Spanish and in English, but then in Italian you write things like in another way, like CHE in Spanish or in English is che, in Italian is che, and so I would just like quickly think about what they were saying, and I would translate. And I would take notes in English because it was so much easier for me. Yeah, so it was fun. It was
It's
difficult.
Fun, difficult
it was
and
challenging.
challenging.
That is when it was challenging for me. That was very challenging, and it took me about 3 years to get accustomed to this Italian lifestyle. Because Romans, at least we live in Rome, they are super friendly and they're very loud and they're funny.
That's true.
But then they are, compared to the international background where we lived,
You have to sort of belong in their bubble, and it's not easy to penetrate the bubble that they belong into.
I like that
Right?
bubble thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, and they need to classify you.
Yes, and there's
So where do you live? What's the neighborhood? What job did you? They have to put you in a drawer.
Yeah.
So
we did not fit in any drawer.
we did not fit in any drawer.
No, we did not fit in any drawer, and we were considered snobs since we lived abroad, which was for us the most natural thing in the world.
Yeah.
But anyways, but here we are, a couple of years later.
Just a few.
Just a few years later, and we still speak English.
And it's funny because sometimes I've had people say, your English is like very British, and you're like, British?
Yeah.
And other ones are like, oh, you're so American. But then the accent actually, we don't have any accent. We don't actually have a very specific accent, even in Italian. Of course, people can hear that we are Romans, but when I speak Italian, a lot of people ask me if I'm from Florence.
From Florence.
Because I've noticed that I say
You're out of breath.
So it's fun, I feel like I speak fluently 3 languages, but I don't speak perfectly 3 languages. Because there's some things I know how to say in Italian, there are other things that I know how to say more in English, and so I don't speak perfectly any language, but we're fluent in all 3.
Yeah. We're fluent in all 3.
Yeah,
and we can make ourselves understood in French.
Yes, probably you a little bit more. Yeah, you speak a little better French than I do.
See, I'm not embarrassed at all.
No, not because I'm embarrassed, just
but
because...
I do, yeah. Well, because Maggie, my daughter, she studied a lot of French. She speaks French. I went to visit her in France, so probably I speak better. Well, I'm older. I speak better French than you do.
For age.
For age.
Mm-hmm. So, you guys, that's why. Nothing super, well, actually, we did have an interesting life.
Oh, we had an amazing life.
Yeah. No, we're very, very blessed.
I mean, we were
very blessed. And that's the story behind why 2 Italians speak English this way, because we do realize, probably now it's not as bad as before, thanks to social media. It's something positive they did do for Italians.
That's true.
Is that now English is they will sort of understand. The younger ages you can have a conversation with. Yeah. The older ones, English is just like terrible. So we do sound different.
No, we do sound different. And
but it's not only about the language. What I think is that yes, we do speak fluent, but the thing is that I feel that it's more the fact that we grew up in an international background, so we know what it's like not to be Italian, or we know.
Oh yes, we do know what it's like not to be Italian. Even.
Yeah, so it's not just the language. That's why when we do when we work, we have a company that works in food and wine, in tourism, and in a lot of things. But we work with people who are non-Italians, and so we can really in Italian, quando ti metti le scarpe, come si dice?
We get in the shoes of the people that
We
that
really-
are not Italian. We really get it. We really understand.
We understand what the other cultures don't know about Italian cultures, because we grew up 18 years we grew up with people asking us questions about, why do you guys do this, why do you say ciao when you come and you leave, and then just things that may seem very obvious to Italians, and we have learned that it's just a cultural thing. So we have a lot of respect towards whatever question is being asked, because no question is obvious and no question is stupid.
Well
And
said.
so thank you. That is why you should feel free to ask us anything about Italy, the Italian lifestyle, the food, the recipes, the people, even ourselves, just as long as you're nice and respectful, we will be answering.
True.
And, we're very open,
Yeah,
I
we
would
are.
say,
See. Open and transparent.
and transparent.
Okay, I think that we have answered the question.
We have answered the question.